Welcome back to Lanny Has a Podcast. I am your host, Lanny, and this is my podcast. Hope you're having a great weekend. Hope you have big plans coming up next week, although it's supposed to rain again Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Anyway, we're going into the weekend here, and I'm loading up my podcast. I'm finally getting into it. And it's interesting, you put the word podcast on your Facebook page, and 10,000 people from Norway flood your inbox about, I want to have you on my podcast. Tell me what you do. I want to write them back and go, you mean the first sentence said you want me on your podcast and you don't know who I am. So the second question is, what do you do? Shouldn't that be your first question? That's just me being an old journalist from, way back when. But it's just very interesting how many people are on the podcast and doing their deal. And it's also interesting how little clothing they have on sometimes doing their deal from a beach, from a cabana chair by the pool, and good for them. I mean, maybe I'll be out by the pool later on this summer doing my podcast and all buff and my boxer swimming trunks on and all that, but I wouldn't look for that to be happening right now. But the fun about this whole podcast thing is you get drawn into all these clinics and tutorings and all this about podcast this and podcast that. And I met some people that have done, this is their 251st podcast. I'm like, when did you start? During the Eisenhower administration? My God, who are you talking to and what are y'all talking about? And the other event this week, or 2 weeks ago, I was talking to my high school buddy, and we went to kindergarten. I was thinking Larry Darrett and I probably go back more than any other two guys. We started off at Miss Laughlin's kindergarten over on, I think it was Forest Street. And then we went all the way to college together at Southwest Texas State in San Marcos. Then after the second year, he moved on to University of Texas, got his degree in finance, and he's done very well. But so we're talking, we're actually Zooming each other back and forth. So I thought, what the hell? Why do you have to use Zoom when it's an important phone call? If I call you on the phone, you're probably going to be on my camera, so I can look at you through my big TV screen that I have here in my studio in the Crime Free Montrose. And so he starts talking about Chat GPT and AI and Gemini and all this sort of stuff. And I know, like everyone says, dude, it's on your computer. It's been there from the very beginning. I know it's called Google or whatever the search engines are, and yeah, they do a very good job. But I was telling a friend, I don't know that I want my computer, if I write on there like Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and then hit, jam on, Chat GPT. I don't know that I want to edit 8 paragraphs about who is Mary, how little is the lamb, is it a lamb or is it a goat? Is it, that's a lot. And I'm like, no, I said this on my Facebook page. I do have voices in my head. I have lots of voices in my head. Comical voices, silly voices, dramatic voices, horrifying, voices, alarming messages and voices in my head to let me know, hey, have you ever thought about, back out of the driveway, you need to start watching where you're going in the car. Just because you lived in that house for 34 years doesn't mean people can't watch out for you. So I've got that little voice going on. I got a lot of voices. That one of them that I think we all share is like, clean up that house, or it's time to do some laundry around here. And when you hear that little bell go off, it's time to do some laundry around here. That means we're all down to the underwear and very little of that left over. So that's what I've been doing with this podcast thing, trying to figure it all out. And I went on Thumbtack, the site to search for producers. And that went on for 6 months. And I don't have kind words to say about Thumbtack. Nothing bad about it, but the drawback that I found on there, you put it in on January 1, like I'm looking for a producer for a podcast, and you don't hear anything for weeks on end. And then one by one, they start piling up in your Gmail. Then you got to start knocking them all out to figure out who is, relevant, who can I work with, who is in Houston. And the guy that I actually met who's the best, producer is not from Houston, he's from Baytown. And I'm from Baytown. I thought, wouldn't that be funny if our careers ended doing joint podcasts together and, setting the world on fire and with just two guys from Baytown. But you know what? Mayor Bob Lanier is from Baytown, and a lot of famous people are from Baytown. We just don't ever hear about them from on every single day. But I'm having fun with it, and I hope you're having fun. Talk to me on my Facebook page. Let me know what's going on, questions you might have for me. Things are going well here at our house. We went to L.A. to go spend a week with Sarah, our stand-up comedy daughter, and then we also went to wouldn't you like to know, we went to Chicago to see Hannah and Jaime, her boyfriend. They're together, been together a long time. Between the two of them, they actually have 4 restaurants. They're in food and beverage. If you're not in the food and beverage business, you need to marry into it or find a way to, make yourself related to food and beverage. We ate, and this is crazy talk, because we were talking about this the other day. Debbie and I were like, you realize in Chicago, when you get out of bed at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, brunch starts around 9 a.m. or 10:30 at the latest. You walk into Hannah's restaurant at brunchy time, and here come the waffles and the fruit and all this sort of stuff. And then here come all the drinks that goes with that. And so 3-4 hours later, we've met everybody in the building, and then it's now 3 in the afternoon, and we head back to the hotel to do what? Take a nap, and then back up again at 6, headed into Jaime's restaurant, Lucky's. And don't even ask me where all these places are. I just know they were somewhere near Wrigley Field. And went into Lucky's, and here comes all the oysters and the seafood, Italian seafood. It was crazy, crazy good. And 3 more hours went there, and we just ate little by little by little over a slow amount of time with wine, and we were getting face. So, for us, it was our vacation. We planned this a year in advance. We said, damn it, when 2026 comes along, we're going to LA to be with Sarah, and we're going to take in her comedy shows and all that, and we're going to Chicago to see Hannah and Jaime's restaurants, because they opened, the third restaurant opened in December, and they were doing a soft open, because Dad, don't come up, in right now, because we're doing a soft open, and it won't be ready for 3 or 4 months. And I didn't think soft opens lasted that long, but who knows? But it was wonderful. And we took in the game, the Astros game, and of course we won. It was a 3-game series against the Cubs. And when Debbie and I got on the flight on Friday to take off up there, the plane was half full of people wearing Astros shirts. Now, we opted not to wear Astros clothing on the flight because we said we're going to have this on all day Saturday everywhere, and so there's no need to break out the Astros stuff. Wrong. It's never a good time not to have on your Astros gear. We saw so many moms and dads bringing their children on the flight. It was a 6 a.m. flight for Chicago, and they were all dressed up with they had little baseball bats, plastic, and baseball caps and beanie caps and all that sort of stuff. And I thought it was hysterical. I did tell Debbie, we're all concerned about our safety whenever we go to, out of town games. I said, Debbie, I'm going to be 70 in November. Do you think they're going to whip my ass because I've got on an Astro shirt? Come on. Surely they'll take care of older people like us. Look at all this gray hair. This didn't happen overnight. It's earned like the Astros have earned their 2 World Series. So he had a blast doing that on the weekend, and all of a sudden it was Labor Day weekend or Memorial Day weekend. And it was time to come back home. And I was telling a friend of mine the other day, I said, we didn't know how tired we were, because you think you're young, you go hang out with your 30-year-old kids and all that, and they're like from 10 in the morning until 2 o'clock in the morning or at 3 in the morning, just going. Of course, we're having a ball. It's like 60 degrees in Chicago, 60 degrees in Los Angeles, a Pacific Ocean breeze blowing through. It's just wonderful. Then you come back to Houston, and it feels like, it is hotter than a pot of collards, that's right now, and steamy on top of that, so that's good times. So it's taken us a whole week. We were in shock that we had traveled that much and had that much fun with our daughters. But then the week after that and this week, we have almost been in intensive care on a morphine IV drip because it all caught up with us. We slowly have unpacked and put things away, and it's like, man, that was crazy. I cannot believe we went out literally from 10 in the morning till 2 in the morning for, a week in Chicago, and at least that much in Los Angeles with Sarah, because there's so much stuff to do, and the weather's very nice, and it's very cool up there in the summertime in Chicago. So that's where I've kind of been, and I'm laying low on getting any work caught up. But today's the day to get it going. It's going to be a big weekend. I'm not going to FIFA. I don't watch soccer on TV. Why would I go out there and fight the crowd? I'm not going to go to Fan Fest. I don't want to sweat. I'm tired of sweating. I've been sweating for 69 years. I'm going to run the AC on stun, and I've got my ceiling fan cranked up to whip it good. And it is going to get whipped here at Casa de Landman. The show is called Lanny Has a Podcast. If you like it, tell your friends, hey, it's good. Because we're all friends, and we talk to each other all the time. Debbie doesn't believe that I actually know y'all. She just thinks I'm just talking to imaginary people. And I said, well, in my voice, in my head, yeah, I am talking to lots of people in my head. But no, I actually know all of y'all on Facebook because we've been on Facebook so long, and you guys are the steady crowd. So this is for you. And if you want to podcast something and shoot it back to me, I'd love to hear from you. Lanny Has a Podcast. Just type that in your computer. It'll pop up all over the place. And again, if you like what you see, let a friend know. But if you think it sucks, just keep it to yourself. All right? That way we'll remain much better friends in the long run.